It is time for Around the 412 with Smitty and Tyler.
Welcome back to another Steelers episode of Around the 412. I am Tyler. With me, as always, is my co-host Smitty. Be sure to follow us on all of our social medias at Around the 412. If you haven't already, check us out over on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you know whenever we post a video, and you also know when we go live for Steelers Saturday Sit Down every Saturday, except for this upcoming Saturday because the Steelers on a bye at 10 a.m. Eastern. We preview the upcoming matchup the Steelers have. Again, no Steelers Saturday Sit Down this week because they are on bye. But check us out on the listening platforms as well, like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you find a podcast, we are there. And check out the description of the show where you can find all the links to our great sponsors, including Year 8, Rocking Around the 412. It's our Christmas GoFundMe. We got the fundraiser down there. Been able to provide in the local Pittsburgh area 177 children the Christmas that they have always deserved. Raised over $36,000 in the last 7 years. Want to continue to do so. Hit that $40,000 mark this year. Hit over 200 kids this year if we are able and lucky enough to. We would like to get as much impact as possible. So if you want to share the mission down below, check it out down below. The GoFundMe link is below. You can learn more about it there. We also partner with the East Rochester Salvation Army Angel Tree and adopt kids off of that in the name of our late friend Dalton Keene. So there's several ways to get involved this time of year. You can donate below. You can also just reach out to us and donate to us directly. That way 100% of your money is going to directly impacting the Christmas that these kids are able to have. And if you do donate, you're lucky enough to be able to have the potential to win some great prizes like Penguins tickets, some sports memorabilia, Game Changers t-shirts, Around the 412 merch, all sorts of good stuff. So if you want to get involved in that, again, you can find some more information at the GoFundMe link, but multiple ways to get involved this time of year.
Absolutely. Pat Freiermuth autograph will definitely be a part of that as well. People that are watching or listening to this right now have certainly let me know over the last week their feelings towards Pat Freiermuth in my DMs, in my mentions on Twitter. I hesitate to even bring that up because I feel like that's just going to cause it to happen more, but I would love if it didn't happen. I don't control anything that goes on.
I noticed that you're saying it instead of talking about it directly.
What do you mean?
Well, you're saying you would love you would love if it didn't happen. You're saying it.
So I'm saying I would love if people weren't tweeting at me and DMing me.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
In regards to things that happen on the football field.
Got it.
Let's just elephant in the room. Let's get it out of the way right now. I don't think Pat's playing very good right now. I think that he admittedly would say the same. We had a conversation when he was over here between the Pats week and the Vikings week, and then he went out in Dublin, didn't see a single target, completely whiffed on the field goal, which got blocked, and ended up being a 6-point swing right before half. And I think things like that get magnified when you're not producing as well. He only has 7 catches for 65 yards on the season. I think that a lot of this is out of his control, though, as well. I don't think that he's been as big of an emphasis on the offensive game plan as we maybe thought that he was going to be. And when you're the 8th highest paid tight end, making over $12 million, that's what the fans see. They see what he's making. They see the production that he's not having, and they're critical of it. Speaking from a fan perspective, I get it, but I can also acknowledge the fact that the opportunity hasn't been there. He played 2 snaps in the first quarter and a half of this football game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how is he supposed to produce? And that was before the field goal thing. So you can't say that that's the reason that they iced him out of the game plan. In the entire season, I feel like he hasn't been a massive part. And it's like, okay, you want to say he's taken a backseat to Jonnu. Jonnu played less snaps than Pat in Ireland. That clearly, the offensive game plan seems to me like it's more of a week-to-week thing that they're figuring out based off the opponent, as opposed to having something that they're going to stick to philosophically themselves. I think it's more about just what's going to work this specific week, not what do we want to be in totality. And I think that that's a big reason that we've seen that production dip for Pat this year. I'm hopeful coming out of the bye that it's going to be better. But yeah, I mean, I'm biased. I'm not blind. That's what I'll say.
I respect it. I don't really have a ton to add on it because I don't think there's much more I can add. And yeah, it sucks to see someone, friend of the show. I mean, definitely a friend of you coming over to your house and before even going to Ireland. But it sucks to see like him not get the production that we would like to see him have. But yeah, I think that a lot of it is scheme related and the usage relation. I don't necessarily think that it's just Pat playing poorly either. So, I mean, we'll say what fans are going to say, but I don't really think that.
Yeah. And here's the other thing that kills me too. And again, this goes back to where I think people are probably going to say I'm biased, but like if you're watching, like actually going back and watching, I don't know, I can tell in real time, but especially if you go back and watch the stuff, the all 22, which like everybody has access to, not saying I'm special in that way. If you still think
not like you're saying a season ticket holder.
If you think that Pat is still like a complete zero in the blocking game, you're out of your mind. You don't know what you're talking about, in my opinion. I think he's taken massive leaps since he came back from his injury in 2023, probably. I feel like is when that started to shift. Again, this is where I toe that line just from conversations that we have. I know how much pride he takes in that aspect of his game now, and I'm not sure that it was always the case. His uncle was an offensive line coach for a high school back in his area. And I really think like in that off season, he started to be like, okay, how can I improve in this respect? And I think he's taken it a lot more seriously, which I commend for him realizing that it was a weakness and putting so much into that to really round out his game and develop. So I think people are clueless if they still think that this guy is not at least an average blocker at the position.
And that's this week's Pat Frymoose segment. Tune in next week to see what we say next week. I
won't have a game to talk about.
It's wild to me that people are coming to you complaining in your DMs about it. Like, I understand your connection to Pat, but I mean, get a life.
It's just, it's trolls that probably think because of how chronically online I am that I'm going to respond. And at one point I probably would have. But honestly, more so for Pat than anybody else. I just ignore it.
I mean, guys, I can hardly get somebody to reply to my tweets. He's not going to reply to yours.
Usually, I mean, it used to be a thing where you had to say a specific thing to get me to like
it. Yeah, you had back in the day when he was Z23 Smitty, you had to physically type out Zachary Smith in order to get him to like your post. He was not going to like it if you had his Twitter handle in the tweet. It had to be his name, and then he would like that tweet.
Yeah. And like for a while, the only thing that I liked was like my birthday tweets, like people saying happy birthday to me.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah. Not the case anymore, but it was a nice way to stay organized.
People don't realize how much of a weirdo you are. Okay. They just see the online persona.
Well, now they're finding out. But anyways, let's talk more about the Steelers game in Dublin here, because I'll be honest, my initial thought when this thing ended was I'm on the edge of my seat for no reason, because I felt like they thoroughly dominated that game for the better portion of 60 minutes, and they end up winning by 3 with the Vikings having a chance with the ball to tie or win it. And I hate to start out on a negative note, but we're going to talk about a lot of good things, I'm sure, throughout this episode. So we're going to start on a negative note. I thought that the Steelers, unlike I said was going to happen, largely outcoached the Minnesota Vikings. However, Mike Tomlin's decision-making at the end there, I can't get on board with it. How do you go for it on a 4th and 3 at the goal? Although they shouldn't have run it, in my opinion, put the ball in Aaron's hands, but you decide to go for that there. And then you don't go 4th and 18 inches or whatever they showed that it was. Maybe it was even less than, I don't know.
It was 4th and 1. It was 4th and 1 according to the box score.
And you don't go for it there when you were dominating the game on the ground. Like, let those big boys up front that have gotten you to that point ice that game out and not even give them a chance with the ball at the end. That was kind of my take on it. I thought it was baffling that they made that decision. I say that Mike Tomlin made that decision. There's a lot of people that also say I don't go with Mike Tomlin at all. I'm going at him right now. I thought that was an awful coaching decision in game. I just had a hard time wrapping my head around that. And then they admitted that they intentionally told Corliss Waitman to punt it into the end zone. So they gained 19 yards by that decision that they made. Baffling move all around to me to close out that one.
I can't get on board with it either. It made no sense to me in the moment because of what you said earlier too, especially. You're going for it on 4th and 3 earlier in the game, but you're not going to go for it on 4th and I don't want to call it inches, but definitely 4th and 1 under the 2-minute warning. If you get the first down, you're going to ice the game. It makes absolutely no sense. And this is not the first time where Tomlin has had a questionable, like, in-game coaching decision as far as clock management or ball management in this sense. It made absolutely no sense to me why you're taking the delay of game and punting for the reasons that you just stated. Like, your run game was actually good for once, and you just had to pick up a yard. And even if you don't get it, you're basically in the same scenario that you were, albeit closer.
Yards, yeah.
But you're in plus yardage already on Minnesota's side of the field. I can't get on board with it in a game where I agree with you. I was going to bring this up. I don't know how you feel about it directly, but we talked about all pre-game that this was going to be a story of the coaching matchups in terms of the coordinators. I thought Arthur Smith outcoached Brian Flores in this one. I thought that this was Arthur Smith, one of his best coaching performances as a Steelers coordinator. Definitely the best this season. And I think that that the defense did their thing as well against Kevin O'Connell. I think that they did pretty well for most of this game. But that decision I can't get on board with. I think that if you were a coach that, and I know like this gets brought up all the time because of this quote and some of the decisions that Tomlin makes, but like if you were a coach that has said that you are not going to live in your fears, but you are not going to go for it on 4th down when you are in plus yardage. And if you get that 4th down, you ice out that game. I don't know what the decision process is there. I don't know how you come to that conclusion. And to me, you should just put the trust in your guys who, for the better part of that afternoon, had been eaten on the ground and doing work. And Kenneth Gainwell, reward him with that opportunity to get that first down to ice the game. I mean, what a performance that we haven't even talked about that we're going to. But like I talked about and brought it up to you on Steelers Saturday sit down last week. What are we going to look like if Jaylen Warren can't go? Well, it turns out Jaylen Warren couldn't go, and Kenneth Gainwell answered the call and did very well. Why are you not rewarding your offensive line and your running back in that situation? Why are you punting the ball away?
Kenny Gainwell, first running back for the Steelers since 2018 to have 125 plus or more total yards and 2 or more touchdowns in a game. James Conner did it several times that year, but hadn't happened since for anybody. And Jaylen Warren, like if you tell me that Jaylen Warren wasn't going to play in that game, I predicted them to lose to begin with. And if you would have told me that, tenfold, I would have thought that they're going to lose, not having him at their disposal. You actually saved us picking the Steelers, so we at least batted 500 on the pod. But yeah, I agree with Arthur Smith about the Arthur Smith thing. I think it's funny though, because like 2 of his games this year, week 1 and week 4, have been 2 of his best coach games, and then in between that, probably like the 2 worst going, like including last season. So yeah, it's been a roller coaster for Arthur Smith's offense this year for sure, but impressive from Kenny Gainwell. The other part of the Tomlin decision that hasn't been discussed yet, I know I get to an ad here as well before we go too much further, but I think you have to like also keep in mind the personnel that you have like in game as well, with how many defensive backs were going down, the way that they were dropping. To me, that should have played into Tomlin's mind to go for it and not put those guys back out on the field, because Jalen Ramsey was dealing with a hamstring, obviously, was in and out. Darius Slay left for a period of time in that one. Brandon Echols was cramping up real bad. You had James Pierre operating as the number 1 corner pretty much. We already saw a coverage bust happen when Echols went down the very first play after that, because they had DeShon Elliott playing nickel, which is like where something he hadn't been doing. So yeah, I just think it put them in a bad spot where, you know, they needed guys to make plays and obviously answer the bell, and they did. You know, shout out to Nick Herbig, and we're going to talk a lot about the defense on the other side of this thing. But yeah, I just felt like, you know, the personnel that you have at your disposal, I thought should have also played into that decision. I'm not sure that it did.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I mean, you were getting injuries on the defensive side of the ball. I understand trusting your defense because they had performed fairly well in this game, but at the same time, it's just I cannot get around the decision making. And I want to bring this up to you because I wouldn't really look and see if a lot of people were talking about this online if they would have done this, but I almost would have rather just tried to kick the field goal to make it at least force them to score a touchdown than just punt the ball away in that scenario. Because in that case, to me, kicking the field goal is pretty much the same as going for it in terms of if you get stopped, they get the ball back. And I understand that they blocked one already in that game, but I trust Chris Boswell enough where at least in that scenario, you would make it not a 2-score game, but you force them to have to get the touchdown. Like I would have rather have
7 yards.
And at the same time, in the NFL nowadays, look at what some of these kicks are. Like 50, 55 plus, like less than 60 now feels like a 45-yard field goal 10 years ago. It's crazy to me, the length of some of these kicks, not just speaking of the Steelers, but around the NFL from what we're seeing week in and week out. But yeah, it would have been a 57-yarder, but I almost would have rather have done that than punted the ball away. And maybe that's just a backwards thinking, and I want to get your thoughts on that. If you would have rather have seen that than punt, but just punting the ball away in my mind makes no sense. I would have rather have gone for it for sure than kicking the field goal. But it just seems so backwards as to what the Steelers should have done in that scenario, and what it seems like Mike Tomlin has preached for years about what he wants to do in scenarios like that. But again, goes against what his own preaching is.
Yeah, I'll play this game changers ad, and then I have one more thought on this before we shift focus here. What's going on, everybody? Smitty from Around the 412 here. Got to take a quick second to tell you about our friends at Game Changers. That's their logo. This is one of their shirts. Best vintage t-shirts in the game. Doesn't matter if it's sports, music, movies. They got you covered with their designs. Over 5,000 different designs in that catalog over there. GameChanger.la or Pick6.la. You'll save yourself $10 when you use the code AT412 on your order. The link is below to both of those sites. Go check out their entire catalog. Again, 5,000 different designs. If you go with the black or the white, it'll be true to size. If you go with the pepper, which I'm wearing right now, or the ivory, they'll be a bit oversized. It's a heavyweight material. Beautiful stuff. Go check them out. And again, save yourself $10 using code AT412 at checkout. It's one of those things where, I'd love to be normally like a fly on the wall is the saying there, but a fly in the headset, I don't know. That'd be pretty uncomfortable, but whatever. Just to understand, the rhyme or reason, because I think a big part of coaches just feel in a specific situation. But had they kicked a field goal in the previous situation where they have 4th and 3, as opposed to just running the ball and pinning them deep, then I understand why you would punt there. And I'd understand it because it kind of correlates with previous moves. But because you went for it on the 4th and 3 previously, and you had the faith in that situation, I just don't know how you follow it up with the next time you're put in that spot with less distance to go to take the ball out of the offense's hands. So that's the confusing part about it to me is the moves not being cohesive, I guess.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. 100%. We're talking awfully negative about a football game that the Steelers won, though.
Yeah. Let's shift focus to what they did really well in this one, which was, again, taking the football away. The turnover culture. It's teach.
I was close. I said 4. I said 4+. I should have gone 3+.
Yeah, they teach it, they preach it. It's taught and it's bought on the defensive side of things. This isn't some mythical thing. T.J. Watt getting another pick at the line of scrimmage. DeShon Elliott in his return. Has anybody gone from, I'm stealing this from Alan, I'll 100% admit it, kind of an afterthought of a free agency signing like DeShon Elliott was? It was oh, he's a pretty good player. He'll probably fit in nice to Minka Fitzpatrick, but he was just a guy we kind of need him out on the field to do what we want to do defensively. As quick as DeShon Elliott has, what a player that he is, what a perfect fit for what this team wants to do defensively. But it all started up front. I mean, the theme of the game for me, why I went with my bold predictions, not that they happened, but I feel like the theme kind of did, right? Where it was guys having redemption weeks. Keeanu Benton had his best game as a pro. Derrick Harmon was very good again, and we kind of just I'm not saying that he's the most important player because of this, but I think he's kind of a straw that stirs the drink, and that he allows guys to play like Keeanu Benton to play in a different role and just kind of pin his ears back and pass rush. Nick Herbig is fantastic going against Derrick, who's one of the best tackles in football. It just kind of seems like that the name doesn't matter to him. Like, regardless of the caliber of tackle, he's getting his. I mentioned the TJ Splash play, Cam Heyward, very good again. But honestly, the off-ball linebacker play, Payton Wilson, right, a redemption game for him. And not just because of him chasing down Jordan Addison, which is a fantastic play by him. One of the best hustle plays that I think we'll see. But he just played a lot better. Like, and I think a big part of that is the up front, the guys in front of him, the defensive line, being able to keep them clean and just allow him and Patrick Queen to just play downhill and make plays in the run game. And then, they're not necessarily a team, especially with TJ Hawkinson not physically being at the same level that he once was, where he's asked to do the same type of things in coverage in this one. We'll see when we play teams with a good receiving tight end if Payton has taken a leap there. But I feel like those guys played really well. And to be honest with you, outside of the second half of the Seattle game where he was playing hurt, I think Patrick Queen is playing at a very high level right now and really coming into his own.
This is a very opportunistic defense. Like, if you give them too much, they are going to take the ball away. And I think that that's how this defense is built to win, where you may get some yardage on them, but I think that the more the offense tries to chip away, the more the Steelers defense is going to hone into that opportunistic aptitude that they have and get those takeaways. I thought the defense played great, albeit I know that the score says otherwise, but I feel like this is another one of those scenarios where if you just look at the box score, it doesn't actually show how the game went out. This is probably the most lopsided 3-point game that I've seen the Steelers play in a long time. I thought the defense was great. Like you said it, like since having Derrick Harmon back on that defensive line, he has something that has brought something out of the defensive line where they're getting better in the rushing attack, opposing rushing attack. Keeanu Benton has had a resurgence since getting Derrick Harmon back. I thought Cameron Heyward has looked great. I thought the outside linebackers, Nick Herbig, has looked fantastic. And you said it on Steelers Saturday Sit Down. I agree with you. Arguably the best pass rusher on the Steelers defense right now. I know that's not necessarily taking anything away from TJ Watt, but just his skill set as a pure pass rusher is
he's got a higher pressure percentage on an island. Like, I had people responding to me, like, even after I said that was like, I'm talking about one-on-ones, and they're like, well, TJ gets doubled and tripled more. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not including the times that happens into saying this. That's what it means when you're talking about going on an island. When he's one-on-one, when he's gotten one-on-one opportunities, he is creating less pressure than Nick Herbig in those same situations.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. I thought that the outside linebackers in this game were awesome. 6 sacks, by the way, in this game, 10 tackles for loss, and a lot of those tackles for loss coming from those off-ball linebackers.
The last 2 weeks, they have 13 sacks, 50-some pressures.
Yeah, it's a complete turnaround, and I don't necessarily want to say that the causation is only Derrick Harmon, but I don't think that it's necessarily unrelated that Derrick Harmon comes back and all of a sudden you're seeing the defense perform completely differently than they had before. I think that they're being more disruptive up front. They're not getting bullied around as much as they were. And the linebackers, coincidentally enough, when you get to better defensive line play, your linebackers actually have lanes to be able to come down on the ball and make those attacks. I thought that they've looked very good the past couple of weeks. Patrick Queen is playing at a very high level. Payton Wilson, I know that he had that one long run to stop the touchdown, but I don't even think that was necessarily just his best moment in the game. I thought that he was very good all game long. This defense is humming the past 2 weeks at a way of what the expectation was for this season. And it's completely different than what you saw the first 2 weeks. I thought that they were great in Dublin. And like I said, this is probably the most lopsided 3-point victory that I've seen from the Steelers in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, like a coverage bust the play after your like one healthy corner goes out doesn't change the fact to me that they played very well defensively in this one. So they end up giving up 21 points, pretty much should have been 14 in this one. And I couldn't remember what the score was that you said it was going. I think it ended up being 2017.
20 to 17, yeah.
I knew that was a field goal. I thought you actually predicted what the final score was, 24-21. So I incorrectly gave you credit on the Steelers Now post-game show to Alan because I thought you predicted the correct scores. You had the correct margin of victory for the Steelers, but
I'll take it.
I think that that coverage bust late didn't take away from how well that they played in this one. I thought they were fantastic. On the offensive side of things, I thought that we saw their identity come out, what they want to do. And again, it's going to be interesting to see, is this always
DK Metcalf ran a slant. I know that's not the identity that we're talking about, but we literally talked about him trying to sit down. We saw him run slants, and look what happened.
For the passing offense, it should be. Like, that's kind of that was the bread and butter of the passing offense throughout training camp, was like, that's kind of an easy button for this offense. You need to have some of those. And you see what he can do when he gets the ball in his hands. And shout out to Cal blocking downfield and allowing him to get all. I mean, DK probably would have just ran over Josh Metellus if he had to on his way to the end zone after the head of steam that he built up.
Great image, by the way. Aaron Rodgers in the background.
Yeah, one of the best
all-time image. Yeah. That's why I said, imagine showing that picture to somebody 5 years ago as a Steelers fan.
I know. But that's what I'm talking about when I talk about like the explosives that DK can create. It doesn't have to be throwing the ball down the field and putting him into those situations, contested catch stuff. It can be just getting the ball in his hands. That's when he's best, is when he converts from receiver to running back and the ball is in his hands. Did you see the tweet that I put out, like, just about the season that DK Metcalf is having right now and how interesting I found it? Yeah, it's odd, the season that he's having, just like all around. So right now, his 17-game pace, 94 targets, which is the lowest of his career. He's never had under 100. 64 receptions would be the second lowest of his career. 1,100 yards, kind of middle of the pack. I think it's probably like the third highest or whatever, like right in the middle of where he'd be. His 13 touchdowns would be a new career high. 17.4 yards per catch right now, which is his career high as it stands. 11.9 yards per target, which is a career high. Then he has a 68.2 receiving success rate, which is a career high by like 16 points over his all-pro season in 2020, his second year in the league. So it's just it's very odd how they're.
From what I'm hearing, is based off the averages, he just needs more targets and catches.
Yeah, and he would blow those numbers out of the water. It's just like, we know this isn't going to be a high volume passing offense, but like the passing offense clearly funnels through him. It's interesting. To be honest, I don't necessarily care. This just sounds weird. I don't necessarily care about how much the volume goes up. My biggest thing, and I thought they did a nice job of this on Sunday, was alignment, like getting him in different spots.
Yeah, I think the usage of him is what the difference was of what we saw on Sunday versus the other games. Like, we saw him utilized differently than we had before, and you saw the impact that it had. I don't necessarily think that the targets are going to go up because, and I kind of interrupted when you were talking about it. Like, we finally saw the Steelers' identity in this one. They want to be able to be that ground and pound team. I mean, the Steelers only caught 18 balls in this one. They ran the ball close to 30 times. That's what they want to do, and it's very clearly their identity.
So without Jalen Warren,
the targets and the target share among all of the receivers and tight ends included may not increase, but when the usage is different and you utilize them to the best of their ability, like you saw with DK on Sunday and getting creative with him, and I don't even necessarily think it's creative and that it's like abstract of what they're doing with them. It's just what should be their bread and butter and what's working for them. You see the results that can happen. So I think that as long as they're able to utilize the pass game in that way, you're not going to be so one-dimensional as an offense. And I don't even necessarily think that they were one-dimensional before. They were zero-dimensional. They weren't running the football, and because they weren't running the football, they weren't able to pass. You saw them have two dimensions in this game. They were good through the air, but they were even better on the ground.
Yeah, I got to give a cap tip, honestly, to an unsung hero this one. I thought Spencer Anderson as like the jumbo tight end, extra offensive lineman. I thought he had a great day and was a big part of what they were able to do on the ground. Obviously, everybody's going to talk about Darnell Washington. We know what he brings to the table as an extra offensive lineman right off the tackle. But like Spence,
48
to me,
snaps, by the way, for Darnell Washington, 91%.
Yeah. Played almost the entire game for them offensively. And Allen put a tweet out there of a picture. It was they had those two that I just mentioned, Spence and Darnell on the field. They also had Connor Heyward on the field, and they had Ben Skoranek on the field. He was the only receiver. and he was like right on the line of scrimmage. So it's like you're not even trying to tell the defense. You're telling the defense we are running the football, and it didn't matter. They were still able to successfully do so. So, and that's like the best for your team, and it's the most demoralizing for the other team is when you're telling them what you're doing and you're doing it.
You line them up and you still can't stop them.
Very few times have we felt that way in recent memory about the Steelers, and that's why it was such a good feeling to me offensively, was just because like I felt like we were getting back to something that we haven't seen in a while, which is like just old school bully ball from this team, which is an ideal situation. I feel like it's what they want to do.
I think so too. And I think that it's curious to me that it happens in a week where you lose Jaylen Warren. I did not expect Kenneth Gainwell to have the production that he had on the ground, but all credit to the offensive line. I thought run blocking, they were really well most of the day. And Kenneth Gainwell took advantage of the opportunity, over 5 yards of carry in this one on the ground, had a score on the ground. He took advantage of every opportunity that was given from him, from Jaylen Warren being out, and none of us saw it coming. I don't necessarily think that Kenneth Gainwell, and this is more of a side note to all fantasy owners, I don't necessarily think he's going to repeat a performance like this, especially with Jaylen Warren getting back into the fold after his injury. But you saw the layout for how this offense should have success. You saw what they need to do, and now they just need to replicate it. I really feel like this was a perfect example of if you were taking Arthur Smith's offense and having it being lined up to a T of how you want it to be executed, this game would be a perfect example. And that's why I think that as much of a conversation as it was pregame of how we think that he's going to do against Brian Flores' defense, I thought he outcoached Brian Flores. I thought that this is potentially his best game as a Steeler, and I think it was his best game this year.
We're getting a little bit of ahead of ourselves, or at least I am about to, because I was going to mention, I think Cleveland, their defense is unbelievable. I think they're more talented than Minnesota, but they're a little less creative. But still, the challenge that they're going to present to this offense. So we'll see what Art has in his bag of tricks for that one. But we'll talk about that, obviously, down the road. I want to play an ad, and then we'll come back and talk about this more, kind of put a bow on it. But first, I'm going to tell you guys about Keeps. What's going on, everybody? Smitty from around the 412 had to take a quick second to tell you about our friends at Keats Barbershop. That's Keats Barbershop, 401 Burkage Way, Suite 2 in Beaver, PA. Download the app, The Cut. Book an appointment with Christian today, or you can do a walk-in with Tony or Ashley. Again, download the app, The Cut, to book an appointment today, or they do take walk-ins as well. Could not imagine going anywhere else. Old school vibe in there. Check them out. So it'll be interesting to see, is this kind of the path forward for them offensively? Brought up Jaylen Warren. What happened there? It certainly seemed like he was going to play. I think he tweaked what it was in pregame, and I don't know that that's necessarily going to cause him to miss time or anything like that. I know we got the bye week. We'll see. I just think it's kind of concerning that he went out there in pregame, did something. I think I don't know if re-aggravated is the right word, or like felt something. I think something clearly happened. They were not planning on him not playing and having Kenneth Gainwell play. We talked about that.
Sure.
But very clearly through the week, they planned on having Jaylen Warren in the fold. So, and then they lose a couple guys in game, Jalen Ramsey and Calvin Austin. We'll see about that. Encouraging that Calvin's not in a sling. Still think he's going to miss time. Everything I've heard kind of makes it seem like they're hopeful he'll get back for Sunday night against Green Bay. Because if you miss the Cleveland game, you ain't playing on a short week against Cincinnati. They turn around and play that Thursday night after Cleveland. So then you're looking at Green Bay on Sunday night. I think it was encouraging, even though he was in and out, that Jalen Ramsey was on the field for the kneel down. Don't know if people realize that, but he was on the field once again to close out the game. So I don't know. I don't know if I should be reading into that, but I kind of am. So we'll see. The thing is, we don't hear from Tomlin this week, until next Tuesday. So we're going to just be left wondering, I guess, for a little bit here in terms of what's going to happen there. I guess the good news there, if we lose one, getting one back, Joey Porter Jr. will certainly be back for that one. Same thing could be said at edge with Alex Highsmith coming back into the fold. We'll see if they open up the practice window for Corey Trice. It's been 4 games, so not only he, but Dante Kent, Will Howard, they can come back into the fold. I actually believe that they're going to activate Will Howard now. I wouldn't have been so sure depending on what was up with Thompson, but with him also on IR, I think they're going to have Will Howard operate as the third quarterback now. So I expect him to be activated at some point too.
Yeah. Also, absolutely wild. The mugging, robbery, whatever you want to call it, of Skylar Thompson. I mean,
yeah,
that is, to me, when I saw that, you know how on Facebook nowadays there's so many like clickbaity AI articles, like that was something that I thought
Nick Herbig comes out as gay.
Yeah, like that's something that I thought was fake, and then I realized it's actually true, and I'm like, this is wild. Like, and then I saw more articles that it's like Steelers QB mugged, and it's a picture of Aaron Rodgers.
Did you see the way Tom Pelissero like worded that? He said like their trip wasn't without drama. I'm like, I don't know if I would be using the word drama to describe this dude getting mugged in Ireland, but yeah, I'm just curious as to like what the situation was. Like, what was he doing on his own? Like, aren't they all around each other the entire time?
I don't know.
Like,
I don't know. And like,
yeah,
obviously, I mean, let's face it. You walk into a random bar in America, people probably aren't going to know who Skylar Thompson is. You go into Dublin, you definitely don't know who Skylar Thompson is. So I'm like, did these just random Irishmen just pick on this one guy just because he like maybe it was American? They want to take advantage of him, taking money. I don't know. Completely wild scenario. Also, I wanted to bring it up just because you don't see it very often from many other teams, but you saw from the Steelers on Sunday, and it got a great meme, great stance photo, GIF of Aaron Rodgers with the whole hand on hip pointing forward. You don't see a lot of teams successfully run the tush push outside of the Philadelphia Eagles. The Steelers got one
with Connor Heyward. The guy.
Yeah.
I don't even know if people knew who had the ball. I've been pushing for Darnell Washington to be the guy, but it was Connor who then credited Aaron for working on with him on taking snaps. Yeah, your boy actually went a little viral for his GIF of Aaron. I said me standing in front of my TV every Sunday. So yeah, great moment. Again, you mentioned the video / picture with DK running for a touchdown and Aaron going like this. I think we got another one there with Aaron pointing for the first down on that one too. Kind of just to like close out here, I feel like we got to mention just like the crowd and the atmosphere. Like that, I thought it was awesome. Don't get me wrong, hate losing out on the home game, but I think if they go back, I'd like to be there. I thought it was just awesome to follow along on social media. I was having quite a bit of FOMO, to be quite honest with you, with what I was seeing and knowing so many people that were there. Looked like an awesome time. I think that they were up to the task of creating a great environment. Still did Renegade, which by the way, Vikings scored a touchdown and successful 2-point conversion on right after.
Yeah. I brought that up on Twitter. I'm like, of course, like you can't even go, let alone Pittsburgh. You can't even go in a different continent, and Renegade still didn't work.
Still did player intros. Still did the third down horn, whatever that sound is that they do. And
it was still the Heinz Field or Acrisure Stadium announcer. I don't know his name, but
Larry Richard, however you pronounce it. Yeah,
Richter?
I know who.
Yeah.
It's that guy. It's Larry. Yeah, KDK Larry.
But it was still him doing the announcing. I wasn't actually expecting that, but then I saw the player intros and heard his voice. I was really hoping that it was just going to be an Irish guy.
Yeah, I think it was. I don't know if Larry was actually there though. I think it was all like pre-recorded audio.
Oh, was it? Okay.
That they were playing. Because they were doing the same thing on like third down when they were on defense, and it was his voice. And I don't think he was there. Like it sounded pre-recorded to me, so I can't say 100% certainty. But that's
does that mean that he had to pre-record third down and 6, third down and 3? Like,
oh yeah, I guess he would have had.
He just
that's a good point.
Does all of them?
That's a good point. Maybe he was there.
Also, did you see the? I'm not sure which broadcast it was internationally. You see the British announcers of the DK Metcalf touchdown? I thought that was epic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was awesome. Everything about it to me was awesome, which is why, like I said, I hate losing out on the home game. But
around the 4-1-2 next time they're in Dublin, or next time they're in international, maybe.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sick. We honestly, if we knew like enough in advance about it, which we will, maybe even get like some space at a pub to do a podcast live from there. Yeah, I'm down. We got to make it happen. But I don't know that like Ireland's going to be next. I think they're going to check a couple boxes before that. However, Allen said he thinks they'll play in Mexico as a road team to get them in there. maybe like them versus Dallas or something in Mexico, but they're the road team. So they could do Dortmund earlier and then be able to get back to Ireland, which is where they'll probably play much more often and almost be like their second. Not second. It's not going to be like that frequent where it is like London with the Jags. But if they're playing international, it's going to be like Ireland is kind of where they really like are rooted.
Yeah, I think that going to Ireland would be awesome because of that reasoning. Like it's almost like the home away from home. If you're going to have an
they open the
game,
Steelers Pro Shop.
Yeah, it's going to be like the London with the Jags. Like that's what it feels like, except I think even more so. Like it really felt like it was like 95% Steelers in that game. It felt like a home game.
I think there were more Packers fans than Vikings.
Probably were. Just hate watching them. That'd be pretty epic.
And Aaron. Like,
if they go to Dortmund, I definitely would love to go to that one too. I mean, I love Germany as well. I've expressed that to you. I think that would be a fun trip to go to. Express ein bisschen Deutsch. So I think that it'd be fun to play around with that. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, it was awesome. They created a great environment. Waking up at 9:30, or actually waking up at 7:40 to make breakfast for my parents before the game was certainly an experience, but one that I love doing. I think I told you beforehand what I was doing. 3 different meats: ham, bacon, and sausage that I can make into omelets. Did these like mini hash brown crown things that they're called, and then like Texas toast with Texas Roadhouse cinnamon butter as well, and then had the bacon and sausage if they didn't want them in the omelets on the side. So yeah, had a lot of cooking to get done. Woke up at 7:40 in the morning to watch football.
I was just on baby duty. To be honest with you, I was waking up early to watch the Steelers, so I got to sit with Sydney. But hey, I am not to cut you off, but I am the beneficiary of a sports baby. I'm so happy that my daughter loves sports. If you sit her in front of a TV, it doesn't matter what sport is on. Like I will have Steelers on, I'll have hockey on, baseball, I'll have like sprint car racing on because I have a brother-in-law that's a sprint car racing driver. She loves watching
Jesse
sports.
Marshall, big fan. Yeah,
Jesse Marshall, big fan. She loves watching sports. I'm so lucky. Anytime. Let me tell you this real quick. Kennedy the other day could not get her to go to sleep. She put on the highlights of the Alabama-Georgia game this weekend. She went right to sleep. She was mesmerized watching them and fell asleep.
Must have been Georgia's offense.
It must have been. But the kid loves sports, and I could not be more proud as a father than that.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. The last thing I would mention was just, man, do I love Greg Olsen. I think he's as good as it gets when he's on the call. And it like never happens for the Steelers because they play so very few times on Fox, which I don't love Fox's broadcast and presentation as a whole, but I love Greg Olsen. I think he's the best in the business. He's just like the nuance that he can talk with, obviously because he played the game, but at the same time be able to like almost like translate what is actually happening just for the common folk. I think he's just got such a unique way of doing of analyzing. So like I think he's as good as it gets.
He is. I'll say this about player like color commentators. I almost relate it to. I don't know. I'm pretty sure you're a adamant like anti Games of Thrones watcher, not because you like don't want to watch
it. It's not
up
my alley. Though.
Yeah, it's not up to your alley. So this wouldn't necessarily make sense to you, but there's a saying in the show that whenever a Targaryen is born, the gods toss a coin and the world holds its breath. I feel pretty similar about players becoming color commentators. They're either like really good at it or they suck. And there's not a lot of in between. Greg Olsen happens to be one of the ones that are really
Jason
good at
Witten very briefly at ESPN.
Awful.
Yeah. Monday Night Football. Terrible. I don't even think Tom Brady's very good yet. Maybe he'll grow into it more, but Greg Olsen was a natural. Romo, I think, has gone in the opposite direction for me, where I was a huge fan early on, but I'm like, now
I think Romo has played into the theatrics a little too much.
Maybe that's it. I don't know. I just feel like I was a much bigger fan early on.
I don't know, Jim.
Maybe he's online and he knows
he's playing into the meme, I think.
Yeah. I'm not sure, but
I actually think Brady's pretty good too on Fox.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's okay.
I think he's for a former play, and this seems like something that players should be good at because they know the game, but it's different whenever you put a microphone in front of them and have them talk about the game. They're not necessarily always good at that. I think Brady is above average, is what I would say. Like, he's one of the ones where I don't mind if he's calling a game.
Well, I think for what you just said, the biggest reason is they have a hard time seeing what they are seeing and knowing what they know, and then being able to relay it to the common fan at home without being too technical about it. Like using the terminology that they typically would if they were talking to another, like to a teammate or somebody else in the football world. They have to know that they can't do that, and they got to be able to break it down for the fan sitting at home. And I think that that's just a skill that, like you're talking about, not everybody that comes off the field and then puts on a headset has. So that's, to me, nobody better right now than Greg Olsen in terms of the color commentary.
For sure.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of Joe Davis, who is his tag team partner on that, but
yeah,
you give and take.
Fair.
And he got bumped because of Tom Brady. He should have been with Kevin Burkhardt still. If Greg Olsen was still with Kevin Burkhardt, that'd be like up there for me in terms of my favorite. Kevin Harlan's my GOAT. I love Ian Eagle and JJ Watt now, but
JJ's pretty good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyways, we're going off now on stuff that does not relate to the Steelers, but we got a bye week, so we will still be doing an episode of the Around the 4-2 Steelers show next week, but we'll not have a Steelers Saturday sit down this upcoming Saturday. So you got to wait another week for one of those, but we will be here. And then if you are also a Penguins or Pirates fans, they're back, and they're back on this channel. Put out episodes this week. There will continuously be Penguin shows, obviously, throughout the season, and the Pirates. Not going to promise on a weekly basis right now. We'll see how the offseason goes. Yeah, we'll see how the offseason goes and what they do. That one was honestly more so for us to complain about Ben Sherrington still being in the fold for the Pirates and talk about Donnie Kelly being retained, which honestly pretty much go hand in hand. But anyways, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell if you have not already. Hit us in the comments your thoughts, anything that we talked about today, question for a future episode, all that good stuff. If you're listening somewhere else, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from, go there, leave us a 5-star review, and subscribe as well. I'm going to lean on you here because I legitimately do not know. I've talked so much today, recorded so many podcasts. Did I even play our third ad yet?
No, you didn't.
Okay, well, before we completely wrap up, let me tell you about Marcelo Electric. What's going on, everybody? Smitty from Around the 412 here. Had to take a quick second to tell you about Marcelo Electric, serving Beaver, Allegheny, Lawrence, and Butler County. Whether it's residential, commercial, or service calls, our boy Brandon Marcelo's got you covered. 724-614-0611. Again, that's Marcelo Electric, 724-614-0611. The link below in the description takes you to his Facebook page. All his contact information is there, as well as a lot of the projects that he's been working on. Does great work. Couldn't recommend him enough. So there you go. Check them out. Check out all of our sponsors. Links are in the description to all those.
New logo, by the way. Marcelo Electric.
New logo. To be honest,
we're a little iffy with the background. We're a little iffy with it.
We might go back to the old logo, but that's his new logo. It looks pretty sweet if it's got like white behind it, and you can actually like see the entire thing. But for our purposes, we might continue to show the old logo on here going forward. But I actually deleted it, so I'll have to re-upload it if that's what we're going to do. I jump the gun sometimes before seeing how things play out.
I mean, deleting TikTok early, you had to wait for it to re-download it.
Yeah, it was banned for like an hour.
It was banned for a cup of coffee, and Smitty already took out the trash. Wasn't able to re-download it for a while.
But anyways, shout out to Boots. Check out Marcelo Electric if you have any electrical needs and are in one of the areas that he services. And then Rock Around the 412. Tyler brought it up at the beginning, but I'll be bringing it up here as well. Year 8 of doing it. Very excited about what we got going on with all the things. Tyler's going to buy some Penguin tickets for somebody. We're going to have a bunch of Pittsburgh sports memorabilia as well. If you donate, if you can't donate, please at least share the mission. You never know whose eyes and ears you're going to get on this thing. And every single penny that we receive goes directly to impacting these kids, giving them the Christmas that they deserve. I say that we receive because if you guys donate through the GoFundMe, which is completely fine, feel free to do so. That link is down below. We're not getting every single penny. They obviously take a percentage. They're a business as well. They'll also tell you, they'll also tell you that we're not giving prizes away for this. That's not the case. There will absolutely be prizes as I mentioned earlier.
Didn't know how my fingers were crossed.
Hit us up on all our socials at around the 412. Yeah, I think that's it. Unless I'm missing something, which I probably am at this point with how often or how many.
I think that is it. Great spot for a bye week though, to come off that international game, considering some of the injuries that we got. Great spot for a bye week. Not necessarily.
Yeah, we were complaining about it early, but
some of my fantasy teams are still struggling with this bye week. But
a
albeit
lot of injuries too.
Not
just for the Steelers,
brother. In life, our dynasty league, I have Tyreek Hill and Malik Neighbors. I also have Malik Neighbors in one of my yearly leagues. And
well, I have a league with Joe Burrow.
It's a league that we're in together, actually. The redraft that we're in with Anthony and Quentin. Yeah, Malik Neighbors, my namesake for my team. Won't you be my neighbor? Tore his ACL.
Yeah, that's. I should
rename it to. I like my knees like I like my chicken shredded.
Yeah, one of my favorite players in the league, man. That sucks. I feel terrible for him. MetLife strikes again. Malik Neighbors.
Get rid of the turf. That's how we should end it. Ban the turf. Get rid of it. Just put sod everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, we go off on a tangent. But anyways, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Follow us everywhere at Around the 412. Follow Tyler, Weiler_Teeks33. Hit me up everywhere, Zachary Smith, PGH. For Tyler, myself, come back in a week. We'll be doing this again on the Around the 412 Steelers show.